Hi, everybody. It's Julie. Happy New Year and welcome to Hello Monday. I thought it would be fun to share this thank you card idea because if you're like me, you have a lot of people you need to give a special thank you to for the wonderful gifts you received over the holidays. And I wanted to use the Fancy Thanks stamp set and combine that with the Lucky Stars dies by My Favorite Things and this beautiful larger scale scripty thanks die by Savvy Stamps. Now I'm going to take a piece of smooth bristle cardstock and cut it to 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And then I scored it at 5 1/2 inches on my mini scoreboard there. And I'm going to use the grid lines on my mat here to help me cover up about a 1/2 inch strip there from the gutter crease with this post-it tape. And then I'm going to take another strip and bump it down about 1.5 inches to create a nice gap there. And that's going to mask off those areas, and I'm going to set this on some scratch paper so that I don't end up getting ink all over my mat while I'm working and end up transferring it to my project. So I'm going to start with some Faded Jeans Distress Ink and the ink blending tool. Now I have found someone suggested to me that I try Smooth Bristol for blending distress inks, and wow, it makes a huge difference for me. My blending has improved a lot. So this is going to be my go-to paper, the Smooth Bristol, for any ink blending that I'm doing. Now, I started out with the Faded Jeans, but I'm going to add some deeper, richer blue. This is the Blueprint color, I believe, and I'm just going to bring that in down at the bottom there. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to come in with a lighter shade at the top. And I probably should have started with the lighter color first, the tumble glass, but oh well. Now I find that if I swirl my ink blending tool against the pad, I get a better even inking on the ink blending tool. And one of the other things I've learned is that I have to just barely touch the surface of the paper, and to keep that blending tool, when I'm first applying it, start on the post-it tape and drag it onto my project and keep it at an angle instead of coming straight down. And this will help eliminate some of the sharp edges of that round shape that is the mini ink blending tool. So I'm just practicing and getting better. Now, one thing I wanted to do was add some droplets. So I took a Ranger pipette. This is kind of like the dropper tool by Studio Calico, but it's skinnier and thinner. And you just squeeze the bulb, you can suck up some water there, fresh water, and then I'm just blotting away some of the excess there because I didn't want it to soak through the post-it tape. And then I'm gonna take my heat tool. I wanted to put a clipboard underneath it so I don't end up warping my cutting mat underneath. And I'm just going to blot up a little bit of the excess water. And I like using those pipettes for that and just tapping it against my finger. That works pretty good. You could also use a paintbrush or whatever to dip into water, whatever you find works good for you. And then once it was all dry, I decided I wanted some spatters, and I grabbed some Distress paint, which is a fluid and more opaque than the Distress stains. So I really like using this soot color, the black soot color of the Distress paint for my spatters because of the opacity. Once it's dry, it is locked into that paper permanently, so I won't be able to manipulate it once it's dry, but you can actually do some watercolor effects with it while it's still wet if you want to, and do all kinds of other things with it. It's really fun stuff to play with. So anyway, I'm going to take these Lucky Star die cuts. I just tossed them into a bowl, and I die cut a whole bunch of them all at one time. I just used the whole set and die cut them because I didn't know which sizes I was going to want to use. So I figured I might as well just cut them all at one time, take what I need and save the others for a future project. And sometimes when I get crazy with the glue, I like to take a strip of scrap paper and angle cut the tip of it, and then use that as kind of a squeegee tool to get in there and remove some of the excess ink that kind of squidges out there along the sides if I get too crazy. Now, the stars were wide enough that I could use my tweezers to hang on to it and apply the glue from to the backside, but the thanks die is quite a bit more delicate, and it wasn't as easy to hang on to with the tweezers, so I put it face down onto some micropore tape. And this will hold it down in place while I apply the glue on the back with that fine tip applicator, and then I can see through the micropore tape when I'm mounting it to my card front, so that's kind of handy. And then I just peeled it off. I didn't wait for it to dry, so I had to kind of anchor it down there with my tweezers while I was pulling the tape away, so I didn't end up pulling it off the whole project once I got it on there. So now I'm going to take many and for the gift. And I'm just going to ink those up with archival jet black and stamp those, just nestle them in. They fit perfectly with this particular die. And then I'll fold it in half along that gutter crease and go ahead and flip it over and crease that with my Teflon bone folder. I decided in the end I wanted to round a corner, so I'm going to use my corner chomper tool, and the 1/2 inch is going to give me that perfect rounded corner up there. I'm just going to round both corners there through both thicknesses with the card closed. That thing can handle it. And I thought this card turned out super pretty, and it would make a great set of thank you cards. All the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com. You can see more still shots at the classroom blog, and thanks for watching.